Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we're back with another episode of the Dragon Prince episode 3. On the last episode was a bit Ezran driven. It was a bit Ezran focused episode, right? We basically just had Callum and Rayla there to maybe perhaps show how much closer they are becoming, because they did have a moment there where they were in each other's arms after they made that jump on a leaf. I don't know if I would take that leap. It seems like a huge leap of faith right there. That the leaf wouldn't just flip or something and it wouldn't just fall to their doom, but worked out well. But it was pretty much just really introducing Callum to this magical world of Xadia, and it really is quite magical. And it kind of underlines the why the elves consider it such a treacherous act to use dark magic, because you're essentially stealing from the very land that you actually need to actually survive, or at least for the elves themselves. And because, as Callum has found out, everything there is imbued with magic, with life. It's a source for everything. So to steal that life from another life form, it's understandable why they are so pissed, right? And I believe in the last episode, I kind of, and look, not everyone may agree with this, but I kind of likened it to our current literal climate, in terms of, not just climate change, but us just taking from the earth and just taking and taking and taking without thinking what the repercussions may be, or at the very least ensuring that we are, somewhat reserved in what we take and allow the earth to, to kind of recover. We're just taking and taking, and it kind of, I don't know if it was intentional for the writers here. I don't know if the writers, if they intended it to be, literal, to be taken literal or reflective of our current times, but artists usually do that. So that is my interpretation of it. It's not going to be everyone's, but that is what I choose to interpret from that story. And it's that we're doing the very same thing. We're literally just stealing life without returning it, or without any reservations whatsoever, or consideration for what the overall impact will be. And I believe that may be why, at first glance it may seem as though Callum is just wasting time, just there having fun, while Ezra is there taking care of, some of the difficult stuff. But I think it's important for for Callum to actually learn what it actually means, to see what dark power actually takes away, right, from the creatures, from the land, from the trees, from everything. And especially as someone who has used dark magic himself, so it's important for his character to actually understand that. So at first I was like, okay, that damn it, Callum, you're having so much fun, and Ezra is taking care of the kingdom. But I think it's important development for Callum's character, and I think it will come into play some point later on in the story. Um, but yeah, Ezra, going back to Ezra a bit, he was faced with one of the leaders, or at least newly appointed leaders of one of the other human nations, and whose parent was actually killed. It seemed as though there were some assassinations happening, and I attribute it to Varen, because of what was said in the previous episode. Um, so I do believe Varen is actually the one quite responsible for the assassination of the other leaders, to kind of force them into action. And I'm glad to see that, even though one of the leaders showed up, at the kingdom, to ask Ezra, or to say to Ezra that my armies are outside and we need to go to war. We're waiting on your orders. And he was mature enough to actually think it through and say, I'm not fighting my father's war. And again, it reminded me of this, the young lady from last season, who did the very same thing when Varen first made his big speech, trying to convince all the leaders to go to war. I forget her name, but it's good to see that a lot of the younger minds, and again, I can't help but draw parallels with what's happening now, because it seems as though it's a lot of the younger generation, or the new generation, that's really um, adept enough to actually see the bigger picture and see what's actually happening. And you see it here with Ezra, and with that other young lady, the leader from the other country, being able to understand that, now's not the time for this. right? And to prioritize the welfare of her people. And Ezra is doing the same thing here as well. And again, it's never an easy thing to do. And his advisor, who I haven't decided whether or not I trust her as yet, but she's giving him good advice, and especially when it comes to the tough stuff, right? Because she did suggest to him that he appoint someone to act in his stead, even though he declined. But she also said at the end here that choosing peace requires strength as well. And I mean, he said he knows, and he's willing to take that on. So kudos to Ezran. I doubted him for a brief moment. But I'm glad to see that he did not disappoint whatsoever. I'm still torn on whether or not his decision to spare Claudia and her brother was the right one, because I fear that they're going to try to break their father out, because Claudia still very much believes in her dad, despite what her brother has said to her, and I think that's going to spell trouble for our heroes. Maybe this episode or later on, but Vern clearly has a plan. So excited? Let's check it out.
I can't believe I'm almost home.
It's interesting they mentioned.
Happy and excited, but also terrified.
They mentioned
You're just nervous.
Rayla's
Once they
parents
see
again.
you and
The other
Just
elves
probably
see me
more
and
to
Zim as
her
one thing,
parents'
but my new
death
human
or
friend might
them
not be
running
so
away
popular.
or being considered traitors. They're probably more to that story than we were
But
actually
you know who
told.
is going to be popular? Your
So
charming
I'm
new
interested
elf
to
friend.
find out
Oh,
to
no.
actually meet her parents.
Please, no.
Get ready to meet
Elf
Elf
Callum, yes.
You know,
I've been waiting
I'm
for
one of
this
those forest
since I saw it in the
elves
trailer
with
that they released.
with the antlers.
Oh, you're supposed to be.
And see if you can
an
top Hugh and
Earth-blood
Rayla.
elf?
Wait. The illusion's not complete. Oi, mate! I'm an Earthblood elf. All me best mates are trees. Mate is Earthblood
Spot on.
friend. High four. Down
And
low.
now she knows what it's like.
No, we're done.
Prince Kasef.
Prince Kasef, thank you for coming.
Why have you summoned me? Have you had a change of heart?
Your dad is badly hurt, but there is
But
something you
do
don't
they even
know
have
about.
any proof that
There is a
the
hope.
assassinations
This war
were
started
brought
because
about
Xadia thought we
by
destroyed the
elves,
egg of
or
the
they
Dragon
just
Prince.
assuming that elves
But we
did it?
didn't. The Dragon Prince is alive. And he's really cute, by the way.
I don't think he cares. Oh, babe, come on. Don't be jealous.
And my brother's bringing him back to the Dragon Queen with the help of an elf named Rayla. When the Dragon Queen sees her baby,
Who is
her
this
heart
guy?
will change. There could be peace again. We just have to believe in it.
I think you're a little boy putting his hopes in fairy tales.
Yeah, I thought so.
You don't need to throw me out. We're finished here.
Someone's gonna approach him, aren't they?
Prince
I
Kasef,
saw that look. Had to be a traitor.
may I have a word?
Was all the fire really necessary? I mean, she's human. So, I guess works better than a cage.
Human.
I mean, she saved her life. Come on. If she was truly an evil person, would she have done that? But everyone seems to be so
You're
consumed
here,
by hate.
my home.
Here? No, I mean, I like it. It's modest.
Quaint.
It's hidden by an illusion. To get in, I perform a special ritual that lets me see through the spell. It's like having a magic key.
Oh, so how do I get?
Damn it, I thought they were gonna be like. Nice. I like this. Wow. Wow.
it. The Silver Grove.
How she's gonna explain the
Isn't
human?
it amazing?
Feels
I'll
like
show
everyone
you
is,
everything.
you know, shoot on sight
Are you
here.
hungry?
Or
I can take
in
you
the
with me to
humans
the
land
best
as well.
Moonbury surprise.
Ooh, Moonberry surprise. What's in it?
I can't just.
It seems
Rayla,
odd.
something's wrong.
What is it?
What the hell?
They have no faces.
Oh no. Oh no.
What's
hell?
happening? What's wrong with them?
It's not them. It's me. A ghost.
Ezra really should be keeping an eye on these two. I know he trusts them, but
My children. I'm so glad to see you safe.
What happened,
Poor
Dad? Why are
butterfly.
you down here?
While I tried to unite the five kingdoms against Xadia, the council was more concerned that I broke a few rules along the way.
a few rules.
But none of that matters. The egg. Did you get it? Everything I do, and everything I ask of you, is for the future of humanity.
I don't think so.
Is that why you told Soren to kill the princes?
You didn't tell her for some. I'm guessing for a reason, because she has some affections
hello?
towards Callum.
What will your human soldiers doing on the Xadian side of the border? What are the humans planning? I'm losing my patience. Say,
Oh my.
well, what did she say?
If my interpretation is correct, and it is, she suggested an unusual way in which your body might accommodate your sword.
I suppose you think that's funny.
Amoya's got spunk.
That's a common sign for yes.
We'll see if you have the same attitude with our queen.
Remember Runa? Ithari, it's me. I'm so glad
This
you're
isn't
here.
gonna go well.
There's been a mistake. They made me a ghost, but you have to tell them I didn't run away. Ithari?
So if she's a ghost, does that mean that she can't? Obviously, they're not hearing or seeing her, but she can see them. So can she touch them, or I don't know?
Your lady.
Dispose of her.
Oh, that didn't go very well.
No, Ithari, not you too. The reflection. He can see me. Yeah, I'm here. Surprised to see my face.
Can he hear you?
No, but he can see how I feel.
Rayla. Before you left, I told Renan that you were too good-hearted for the work of an assassin. So I know you did not betray them out of malice.
It was a betrayal.
But that doesn't matter. They're gone. He's gone. Because you abandoned them.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you thought, Soren?
Lies.
Claudia, did you really think I would ask him to do such a thing? Surely you know your brother is, easily confused. Oh, really?
She's gonna
What do
believe
you
her
know?
dad over Soren, isn't she?
You told me to return with the news that the princess died. You said accidents happen all the time.
Soren, I was preparing you for the worst. I knew tragedy might have already befallen them.
No. You said that I'd know to do the right thing.
This is disappointing.
And he's always
son.
trying to please his
Even for
dad,
you.
so he's gonna just flip.
Claudia, you believe me, right?
Oh, Oh, Sorbear. I believe you thought you heard it, but you obviously made a mistake. We're just really lucky you messed up the mission you thought you had, huh?
Don't believe it, Soren. Don't believe it. If she falls into his hand, then you're our only hope. Yeah, Prince
High
Kasef.
Mage, I've brought someone who wishes to speak with you.
When assassins are sent on a dangerous mission, Ethari enchants one of these flowers for each of them. As long as the assassin lives and breathes, their flower floats.
But he isn't really dead, is he? Vern trapped his soul inside of something, so he's... maybe there's still some hope that he can be brought back. I don't know if he has a body to come back to.
So, when all the others sank, and yours didn't,
They thought I ran away, just like my parents.
but you didn't run. They have it all wrong.
Doesn't matter.
She's worthless. She's not worthless. This may be a human, but
It's interesting.
she fought bravely. And she treated me,
Elf
her
likes
enemy,
her.
with warrior's honor. Should we not do the same? Oh, my sweet little sister.
Oh,
If you
God,
truly
it had to
believe
be a
this one is
sister.
so special, we'll let the light decide her fate. No, you have to look.
What's this
You
light?
have to look. If you want to live, you have to look into the light.
Trust her. She seems to not want to just kill you. But what is he supposed to do? Well, she's not
A
dead.
human with a pure heart. How original. Just take her.
Alright, so I don't like the queen. Do not like the queen, and I don't think she'd look too favorably on Callum or even Rayla at this point.
There you are. You know,
Yes,
I
he's
was
forgiven
never
her.
as strong as the others. This will only...
We found the Dragon Prince. The egg wasn't destroyed. And I knew that if we could get him home to his mother, there could be peace.
It's a miracle. I can't believe it.
Why can't they see Azzy though?
You need to know the Dragon Queen is dying.
Oh boy.
Since the death of her mate, she's fallen very ill.
We have to get to her. It's the only way.
I always love new creatures.
You can ride faster than you can walk.
Honestly, my first
It's a
impressions
real
of the
moment,
Elf
Opal.
Queen, she seems
When I
to
gave its
want
match
to go to
Renan,
war,
I
so
told him,
I
"My
don't think
love
she's
will be
gonna
with you even when
like
the moon
this.
is not. Goodbye, Rayla.
Her face is gone again. Didn't fall completely to the bottom. So
The
he's
last
still
time I made
alive.
you
It's
one of
just that
these,
Vern
carry
has
the
his
message
soul
of
trapped
death.
inside something.
But this arrow will carry a message of life.
Regina Draconis!
Alright, so we finally made it to Xadia. We finally made it to Xadia, and unfortunately, no one can see Rayla anymore because, you know, they consider her a traitor for not going through with the assassination. I still have a lot of questions about that though, in terms of the physical interaction, because even as they rode off there on the two creatures, he couldn't see them. If you slow the frame there, he couldn't see them on the creature's back, but um, you could still see the creatures moving according to how the rider is moving them. So clearly they can interact with things. So wouldn't Rayla have been able to touch him, or is it that the spell doesn't affect the other creatures so they can interact with those creatures, but actual persons there they can't see or touch them? I'm just trying to figure out whether it's just perception, so they can't see them, or maybe they can't hear them, so they can't see or hear them or smell them or anything like that. But can they still touch them? But she said ghost, which suggests that she wouldn't be able to. But at the same time, she's able to ride the creatures here. So just some questions about that. And also, I mean, is it a general spell that would have been cast over Xadia to make her a ghost, or is it an individual spell that each person has to cast? Because he was able to reverse it so that he could specifically see her, albeit temporarily. So I'm like, a lot of questions, but I mean, we still have a lot to learn about Xadia. This is the very first time that we're actually we're actually getting so much information about this side of the world. We've spent most of season 1 and season 2 in the human world, and we just we've just not learned a whole lot about the elves. We've just kind of seen things here and there, but I'm glad that we're seeing and learning a lot more now, and I definitely can't wait to learn more. So, something that I wanted to mention before I forget it, and I should have mentioned it last episode, and I didn't, and it was the Crowmaster, right? And I don't know, he just keeps coming back to me. He's one of those characters who reminds me of like the Cabbage Man from Last Airbender, right? There's that weird character that pops in every now and then, and he's just hilarious. He just has these hilarious scenes, and the conversation with the Crowmaster and Viren last season was just hilarious, and I was glad to see him come back this season as well, because he's one of the funniest parts of season 2 for me, and I do hope we get to see more scenes with him. And well, I don't know if you'll ever even get to see the Crow Lord, since the Crow Lord never seems to be here, and Crowmaster has to fill in for him. But I'm not complaining. But just something I wanted to mention. Crowmaster is one of my favorite things about this show. Every single time I see him, his interactions with people is just hilarious. So hopefully we get to see more of the Crowmaster later on. But yeah, back to this episode. We finally met the queen, the queen of Xadia, and of course, she's not a very likable person. She seems to be something more of I don't want to say a tyrant, because we haven't seen so much how she interacts with everyone else in Xadia. Maybe she's kind to everyone else except humans, but first impressions indicate otherwise. Interestingly enough, I mean, the soldier that Amaya fought and saved from falling over the cliff at the volcano is actually second in line for the throne. So the queen called her little sister. So hopefully, if all goes well, she can take the throne from her. Although she can always say that her sister is trying to start a coup and try to get rid of her. And if her sister starts to side with Amaya too much, I'm sure she's gonna draw that card and see she's trying to overthrow her, and she would try to kill both of them. But luckily, Amaya survived the light, whatever that thing might be, but apparently it tests to see whether you're pure of heart. And it worked, and she survived. She's still here. I'm glad she's still here, because Amaya is my favorite character in this series so far. I've loved her since her introduction, and it's good to see the growth that she has made since we were first introduced to her in season 1, where she just hated elves and wanted to kill Rayla the moment she met her, to now actually saving one of them from dying. Because in combat, you learn a lot about persons in direct combat with them, and she learned that this soldier that she was fighting is very honorable, and luckily she did, because she returned a favor here, and it saved her ass. So I'm glad that Amaya is still with us. I'm glad that she's making some allies. I think this queen to be, this princess, is going to be an ally for her, for the humans as well. And I imagine Amaya will start to cooperate a bit more now, not because there is no big human plan, at least not from the crown, from Ezra's side. There's no huge plan to start an invasion or anything like that. But there's still Viren to look out for, and there's of course the betrayal in the court. This guy who's loyal to Viren, and I don't know. I don't think we've ever been introduced to anyone like that. Even season 1 and season 2, Viren seems to act on his own and do things on his own. He's never really had allies outside of his children, right? But he seems to have allies in the court, and one of them have now introduced him to Prince Kasef, and who's, he's bound to go to war. He's determined to go to war. And he's found the right person to make it happen in Viren here. So I imagine he's going to attempt to help Viren to escape, and they're going to try, they're going to attempt a coup to get Ezran off the throne and Viren to act in his stead somehow. I don't see them being able to do that forcefully. At least I don't believe so. But it's Viren. He's going to find a way to use deception as his, to his advantage. Either by controlling Ezran or somehow making it so that he's not able to, to fulfill his rules, either by disabling him or something like that, using magic. But he's gonna find some way to get Ezran off the throne, and himself, as regent. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he did it before with King Harold, so he'll find a way. I guess it's just good that Ezran for the moment has a lot of people around him that are, good persons that he can trust for the moment. I'm not sure what the future holds, and I'm kind of upset with Claudia over this whole thing, because I just think that she should know better at this point, right? Because her father, her father has always, he's not blatantly said that he's doing bad things, but it's kind of hard to turn away from the things that he does see and eventually do. And there are times when he would seriously say something and she would just laugh it off, or try to make it seem as though he wasn't serious when he actually is. And I think Soren, weirdly enough, is going to be key here in getting her to open her eyes. And Soren's, I don't know, he's been that character, that kind of a Sokka character in this. I'm going to make a lot of Avatar references for obvious reasons, but he's kind of the Sokka character here, and I think when he has recovered, he will be an ally, right? Because I think he does know what his father's intentions are, but he needs to convince his sister that that is in fact what his father intends to do before it's too late, right? Because she's blinded by loyalty to her family, despite the loyalty that had been shown to her by the two princes over and over again. So, but at the end of the day, it's her dad. I imagine she doesn't want to believe it. But it does raise another question that I've asked. I keep asking myself though, in terms of who raised Soren and Claudia, because I don't imagine that Viren is a good dad. He's, from what we've seen demonstrated so far in 3 seasons, he's not a good father, right? And they don't seem to be bad persons per se, just misguided. So I'm wondering, is it that he's their mom raised them and their mom died, or perhaps elves killed his wife or something to that effect? I'm not sure if we got a backstory on Viren specifically to justify his hatred towards the elves. I suspect that may be why something happened and his wife ended up dying at the hands of an elf, and that's what fuels his hatred for them now. But I don't believe for a second that he raised Soren and Claudia, because it just doesn't seem that way. But because for whatever reason they are intent on seeing the best in him, even when there is none. And I don't know. There's still the looming question of Avaros and Aravos, and what exactly his end game is. Because I don't believe for a minute that his game is to help the humans win the war against the elves. So clearly he has something else in mind. He's an elf himself. Is there the possibility that he's an elf, but he's a prisoner in Xadia? and he needs the elves to fall so that he can somehow rise up and take over. But he's clearly powerful. He's very powerful, and an elf who actually believes in using dark magic. So that seems unprecedented, right? Because they value magical creatures and so much. So he'll be very dangerous when we do actually see him see him. But for the moment, I'm just worried for Ezran. I'm just worried for Ezran because Vern is gonna escape, and this prince is gonna form an alliance with Vern, and I imagine they're gonna try to take control away from Ezran, and he doesn't have a lot of protection there. We don't know how many others are loyal to Vern, and they may see him as just a kid, or they may see him as weak, and it just may not work out that well. I don't know how many of you who are watching this, might have actually seen The King on Netflix, which kind of is not obviously vastly different, especially in terms of tone, but it is about Prince Henry and how he unceremoniously came to be in power, and he's pretty much everyone saw him as a boy, and his enemies teased him just as much about being a boy who still plays with toys, and if you've seen the series, then you know everything that happens, to kind of test that and what he had to overcome, what he ended up doing as a result of it. But just to highlight that sometimes the persons in power, even though they may be the ones who are the most suitable for power, people see it as a weakness. If you are kind, if you're gentle, if you're reasonable, it's seen as a weakness. But it just kind of highlights some of the hurdles that Ezran himself has to go through, and hopefully overcome, to be the king that he wants to be, and a king that his father, I believe, would be proud of. So more for Ezran, but I can't wait to see King Ezran coming to his own. But hopefully we'll see more of that in the coming episode. Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode as well. Hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.